The Young Thug YSL RICO trial had opening statements today from 4 defense lawyers, one of them being Brian Steele, who represents Thug. He does a pretty good job at separating Thug from YSL and making him look like a human being. He points out a lot of flaws in the overt acts that Thug is accused of. Alright boys, so today we got a lot of information from how Brian Steele is going to approach this case. I think he did pretty good, but some people were saying he didn't. I don't know. Comment down below what you guys think. Hit subscribe right now. Let's get right into this. Here's a look at Thug. So a few people point out that he got a little bit of a gut going. Pretty sure his lawyer blamed that on just the food he was eating inside the jail. It was like all candy. So now we got Brian Steele, Young Thug's lawyer, right here, opening statements. Let's go, boys.
Jeffrey Williams was born into an environment, a community, a society that was filled with depression, despair, hopelessness, and helplessness. In the Jonesboro South housing projects, that's here in southeast Atlanta. It's a very small 3-bedroom apartment. He lived with his 4 brothers in one of the small bedrooms. His 6 sisters lived in the other small bedroom, and his mother lived in her small bedroom.
Bro had fucking like 10 siblings or something. That's wild. I'm put a hat on. Fuck it, my hair's all messy, dude. CUFBOYS.com for these hats, but let's get it.
Because there was not that much money to go around to pay for utilities. The refrigerator and the cabinets hardly ever had any healthy food, and sometimes no food at all. And although the clothing was oftentimes dirty, at least it gave the appearance that he can have a different look.
So what he's doing right now is painting a picture of how Thug grew up and how he was, you know, poverty stricken. He's making him look like a human, not like a big mob boss like the prosecutor was yesterday.
In this environment of severe poverty, severe crime, Jeffrey developed 2 deep, embedded beliefs. The first one is that it is not justice. Our criminal justice system was not just, at least for the people that he saw. Jeffrey would see over and over again people in the neighborhood who were known to be, these are the people that would lie to their kids, lie to their mothers, lie to their brothers and sisters, and then somehow those people would be used by prosecutors, allowed to come before judges, and they would have reduced charges, reduced prison sentences, reduced probationary sentences, no charges at all, on their oath that they come in the courtroom to tell the God's honest truth.
Your Honor.
You have an objection, ma'am?
I have an objection.
What's your basis?
Your Honor, I'd rather approach and not speak it out loud in front of the jury.
I wonder what she's objecting to here. No, his ass probably a little nervous.
They would come into the courtroom, take a witness stand. Jeffrey thinks that the entire justice system is corrupt and should be blown up.
Damn.
And everybody who feeds into that are awful people, stealing lives away from others. It's different experiences in different parts of America. It's different experiences in different parts of Atlanta. Jeffrey would be driving with his sister, and Dora and Jeffrey would be driven, get pizza, by their dad. And constantly, the car would be stopped for a window tint violation, a failure to maintain a lane, a failure to use a turn signal, illegal left turn. His father would be handcuffed and sat on the curb, Jeffrey and Dora on the other side of the curb, the police rummaging through the car, saying, if we find anything, these kids are going to defects custody. Jeffrey's older brother, they called him Beanie. He was 20 years of age, 11 years older than Jeffrey. He collapses outside, not far from Jeffrey's apartment. The neighborhood comes out. Jeffrey and his family come out. They're praying over Beanie. It's going to be okay. There's help on the way. 911 was called. And what seemed forever, when the police finally did arrive, they didn't go immediately to Beanie. They had to push back the crowd. Jeffrey's mother was hysterical. She was screaming for her child to survive. The police handcuffed Jeffrey's mother, put her on the ground. And when they finally went to Beanie, put a sheet over his face. Beanie was dead to the police, even though his chest was still going up and down. He still breathed.
So he's showing to the jury his experiences and why he has a dislike for police and the whole system.
Jeffrey believed that the only 2 ways he can break the generational hopelessness and despair for his family, himself, and he wanted to break it for as many people as he could who are in this struggle, was to be a professional athlete or an accomplished musical artist.
He got the body to be a wide receiver. You know, the tall, lanky.
Jeffrey practices to make himself a better musical artist. Gangster rap is a subset of rap. That was the most popular music. So Jeffrey sought to find out how can he accomplish his mission. And Jeffrey studied 2 rap artists particularly. He idolized Dwayne Carter. His performing name is Lil Wayne. Jeffrey also idolized Tupac. You're going to hear witness after witness that Jeffrey sounded just like Lil Wayne. He took what Lil Wayne did, and Jeffrey wore tight fitting pants. He's the first. He realized in order to become successful, he had to capture people's experiences and make it interesting, both musically and creating a brand. His advertising was called Little Jeff. His father, Young Thug, and from that day forward, he insisted everybody call him Young Thug. On every type of tweet, because most people think about a thug as a criminal, but to Jeffrey, thug had a different meaning. Now, some of you read books about Tupac and what it meant to be thug life. Thug life, the hate you give little infants, Fs, everyone, meaning discrimination and racism hurts all of us.
So what he's doing right here is he's trying to show them why he is named Young Thug. It's optics. He's trying to make Thug look as human as possible and not like a fucking dude from Sopranos.
He would be truly humble under God. That's what thug means.
Bringing religion into the picture.
The neighborhood realized his talent. He was the best rapper in the neighborhood. He was supposedly the leader of the Bloods in that area, in Cleveland Avenue. His name is Quentin Porter. Goes by Boo or Big Boo. And when Jeffrey comes to make the performance, he's no longer there for 5 or 10 minutes. He is the lead performer. The rock crew, the Bloods, the whole neighborhood, they would put up signs on the post, come out tomorrow night. Watch our own young thug perform at this establishment.
So now he's making Thug look like a member of the neighborhood when they were trying to make him look like he fucking put a hole of death in Atlanta. Two different sides of how you can look at it.
The people who own these establishments are making money. By 2011, Jeffrey released his first album. It's entitled, I Came From Nothing. He is making music videos professionally. He is working with some of the biggest artists in hip-hop. It worked. It's unbelievable. He is not running this criminal street gang, Cleveland Avenue area of Cleveland, to gain property, money, or power. Jeffrey Williams did it on will and hard work without anybody's help, except the people from that area that he will not turn his back on. Has been nominated and won and recognized. MTV.
He flexing now. He's just trying to show that he made it out. You know what I mean?
XXL Awards, BET Awards, Billboard Music Awards. Of Rolling Stone magazine, GQ magazine, XXL magazine. He doesn't only do gangster rap. He does rap, gangster rap.
This is a good point, honestly, because he needs to show that he does more than just... Thug is more than just a rapper. Like, he's had some beats and some songs that isn't rapping at all. Try to separate the juror's mind from, you know, a gangster rapper.
In country music, popular music or pop music, Latin music, Afro, beats. He's been featured on NPR, Tiny Desk. He's played numerous times on Saturday Night Live, Jimmy Fallon Show. Jeffrey has performed in almost every continent on the earth. He's performed in front of more than 300,000 people. His social media feed has more than 10 million followers. Because on the pants, the tight-fitting pants, the women's pants that they're wearing, it says YSL, Yves Saint Laurent. That's where that comes from. I'd like to go through with you each and every crime he's charged with in the indictment. The indictment's thick. You're going to have it. You will learn that Jeffrey doesn't even know most of the people in this indictment. They all know him because everybody in that area knows Jeffrey Williams. Is a RICO conspiracy. And the supposed objective that the prosecution charged is that Jeffrey, along with others, had a meeting of the mind. They had an agreement. They have an agenda together. They wanted to preserve and protect and enhance the reputation, the power, the territory. Jeffrey hasn't lived in the Cleveland Avenue area in a decade. More. He has homes from Los Angeles to Atlanta.
Separating him more from the area now to show that he, you know, he's made it out. He's successful. He's not living in this neighborhood that they're portraying him as the leader of this little, like, you know, gas station corner.
Enterprise by obtaining money, weapons, or other property. Jeffrey needs no money from somebody on robbing someone of a car or doing a $30 worth deal. But there are 191 overt acts. And those are separate instances that the prosecution said they're going to prove. Most of them don't include Jeffrey. Jeffrey has never been convicted of a crime. He stands before you. He's not a convicted felon. He can vote. He can carry a gun. He can be on a jury. And he's driving in a car. He gets stopped, of course, for failure to maintain a lane. The police officer comes up to the car, and Jeffrey doesn't have a license. Doesn't have a valid driver's license. Now he's under arrest. Police officer says he sees pills. Xanax pills, 7 of them.
This is about my video. I'll put an annotation of the police officer that his police report was a little iffy. I'm not going to go into detail because this is going to be a long video, but...
Police officer searches the car, and underneath the front passenger seat, there's no passenger. There's a gun. That weapon comes back stolen. There's no evidence that Jeffrey's involved in that burglary of the Phillips home. There's no evidence Jeffrey ever touched that gun. You're not going to hear any type of DNA, fingerprints. That Jeffrey says, that's not my gun. Police officer wants to know whose gun is it. Jeffrey's not talking to police. But 10 years ago, now it's an overt act for you to consider.
So an overt act in this case, but it got dismissed 10 years ago. Pretty crazy, kind of, if you think about it.
This is 2 days later. It's September 11th, an infamous day in America. It's 2013. Jeffrey was arrested, if you remember, from the last overt act. September 9th, 2013. He made bond. He just got out. Walter Murphy. He grew up with Jeffrey. Walter Murphy is with a person named Adrian Bean and Fred Plethora. And there's an armed robbery. Gunfire went out. Police are always in this area. So when the gunfire was heard, police respond immediately. Adrian Bean is driving the car. This is a car that he borrowed from a friend. It has nothing to do with Jeffrey. He commits a crime in someone else's car. Adrian Bean almost kills a police officer, almost runs him over, driving so recklessly, high range speed, goes across a neighbor's lawn, over an embankment. The car is now airborne. It goes over, you'll see pictures, goes over a parked police car, slams into the side of a laundromat.
Thug was apparently seen in this car and like ran away. I think his lawyer's gonna try to shit on the witness that says they saw Thug there.
Mr. Bean runs away. Mr. Bean you will learn is total. We believe there was a fourth person in that car. If you make that young thug, we'll go lenient on him. He's in the Fulton County Jail talking with his wife. He said, I should have ran the way Thug ran. He got away. That's recorded. This would be his interview 4 days later, September 17, 2013, by Detective Quinn, Police Department. Detective Quinn is a big case because police officers are discharging their weapon. Major Bean tells him, they talk about this recording. Everything on those recordings are not true. Jeffrey was never arrested. He was never charged for this. He was never prosecuted for this. He's not even in our indictment on Overt Act 5, 6, or 7. But now, we're going to hear from Mr. Bean. Somehow that furthered this conspiracy.
Pretty crazy if you think about it. Like, he was just present in the vehicle and ran.
God forbid, Donovan Thomas is going to be killed 3 days later. It's going to be January 10th of 2015. And in order to understand this rental car, and there's nothing clearly wrong with renting a car, but in order to understand this rental car, and then 3 days later the killing of Donovan Thomas, you have to understand some background. And there's a man named Kenneth Copeland.
The snitch, by the way, I'm pretty sure.
He's not friends with Jeffrey Williams. He uses Jeffrey Williams, just like a lot of people. Because Kenneth Copeland wants to be famous and have the money. Well, Kenneth Copeland is a criminal. He is a notorious criminal. In fact, you will learn, one of the 10 most violent people in Georgia. And he takes his expensive chain, Donovan Thomas's wallet, his driver's license, and Donovan Thomas's cellular telephone. Donovan Thomas calls his cellular telephone. Kenneth Copeland answers the call on Donovan Thomas's phone. Kenneth Copeland changes his voice, tries to disguise his voice. But Donovan Thomas knows it's Kenneth Copeland. Donovan Thomas has people on the street. And he tells Kenneth Copeland, you have my stuff. I'm coming to get it back. And Kenneth Copeland says, yeah, I'm glad you called me. Because one of my partners had your stuff. I realized it was yours, so I got it for you for safekeeping. When Donovan Thomas comes, he makes it known that Kenneth Copeland is on the menu. Meaning Kenneth Copeland is going to be first. He just stole Donovan Thomas's property. It is now January 6th. It's really January 5th. It's a Monday night going into Tuesday morning, January 6th of 2010. It's going to be the day before this first rental car. And Kenneth Copeland is with a lot of people. Jeffrey was performing on stage at Club Crucial. Monday night was Club Crucial night. That's where they all went. And Kenneth Copeland goes in the back, in the kitchen area, and he's met there. He's a half-brother, Donovan Thomas, and other people who are affiliated with Donovan Thomas, and Kenneth Copeland gets it. He has bumps on his head, his eye is injured, he's being kicked. Kenneth Copeland's mad. And you'll learn that Kenneth Copeland, he went to every place that he knew that Donovan Thomas or one of his brothers or friends were, or family members, and he would shoot at them with his weapon. On the 7th day of January 2015, Kenneth Copeland told Jeffrey, I'm going to be with my child, just born. The mother of my child, her name is Miss Corbin. And I don't want to be driving around in the typical car I drive around in, Dodge Charger. Can I use one of your rental cars? Jeffrey does this for everybody. People need to take someone to a doctor. People want to go out of the state. They don't have transportation. He rents cars all the time. Jeffrey says, yeah, there's a rental car here. It's a Corvette. Kenneth Copeland says, that's a 2-seater. My child has a baby seat. That's too small. Jeffrey rents a car at the Atlanta airport.
He switched it to make it look like it was for a baby. That's why they got a bigger car, but they ended up using it to shoot people.
This rental car's in Jeffrey's name. The rental car location, Kenneth Copeland wants to pick up his brother, and after Jeffrey is dropped off, Jeffrey does not see that Infinity vehicle. His Chevrolet Tahoe is parked. The car drives by. You'll see a video, a surveillance video. You'll see sparks. It's gunfire. Donovan Thomas, the EMT tries to save him. He's taken to Grady Hospital, surgery after surgery, and he leaves. 2 other people were shot as well, but their injuries were not fatal. Later that day, they want to give Jeffrey over $800,000 up front, and the contract's worth millions to produce these records. That's what Jeffrey was working on. He was working on a music video. He tells the police lie after lie after lie after lie. Ken Copeland says Jeffrey Williams was involved in that shooting. Although Ken Copeland said, I don't know anything about him, just tell me what I heard. Ken Copeland's one of those liars in the neighborhood that everyone knows that becomes a witness, swears to tell God's honest truth. You will learn that after the shooting of Donovan Thomas, his associates did not take that well. Immediately, word on the street is that Kenneth Copeland, Moody, is responsible. Kenneth Copeland, now after 10 p.m., it's hours after shooting, he's then at Jeffrey's home, along with a lot of people. They're all scared they're going to be killed. They're all telling, I had nothing to do with it. Jeffrey, you will learn, he's friends with Donovan Thomas. Jeffrey puts Donovan Thomas in his music videos. Donovan Thomas invited Jeffrey just recently to come into his neighborhood to shoot a music video with him in it. Kenneth Copeland says, the police are calling Kenneth Copeland. The police are right on him. You will learn, and it's on recording. Kenneth Copeland goes into the police station later that morning, so it's a very early morning hours, January 11th of 2015, and he's with Detective Thorpe. Detective Thorpe is recording this. And Kenneth Copeland says, yeah, I got your call. I was at Jeffrey Williams' house, Thug's house. Do you have anything to do with a rental car, an Infinity rental car? Were you in an accident in an Infinity rental car? And Kenneth Copeland says, no, he's just a liar. Kenneth Copeland tells Detective Thorpe, earlier today, during the time of the killing, I was at the Green Store. The Green Store is like a grocery store. It's green in color. You will learn that there's video surveillance inside and outside of the Green Store. Kenneth Copeland says, oh yeah, the night of the killing, Down in Thomas, I wasn't involved.
So he's just trying to show that this Kenneth Copeland guy, this is him right here, Lil Woody. He's trying to make him look like he's a liar. So if he comes up there and, you know, snitches in court, gonna make him look bad because he lied a few times in other situations.
You're an on-career criminal. You're going to spend 25 years in federal custody for having a gun. You're going to be dying in the state of Georgia custody because we're going to charge you with gang crime after gang crime after gang crime. But you can help yourself out. On Kenneth Copeland's word, Jeffrey Williams stands here to turn that over that. So Jeffrey Williams rents a car in his own name to use homicide of his friend.
He's doing a good job at painting the picture that Thug had like no idea this was going on. Prosecutor explains it like Thug said, go do this. Here's the rental car. Here's the keys. Go kill this guy.
They're all, Kenneth Copeland made them all pose as targets by the riot gang. Go down to Miami shortly after the shooting. Jeffrey was performing. Jeffrey wanted them to be safe, not get hurt until people calmed down. Jeffrey then sent them back to Atlanta. Jeffrey then went on tour. As you will learn by March 2015, Jeffrey did his first nationwide tour. He did a performer known as Travis Scott. And this is charging murder and then attempted murder for shooting the second person who was shot that night and then the third person, Mr. Sanders, who was shot that night. You may notice that the overt act doesn't even include Jeffrey.
There's a Lil Wayne shooting on the bus.
He is performing. He's in Louisiana. Lil Wayne, his idol. Jeffrey idolized him. Came out against Jeffrey, called him gay.
I forgot why they had a beef. I remember Lil Wayne did come out and call him gay.
Because when Lil Wayne said don't listen to his music, that impacts him. Lil Wayne is bigger than Jeffrey Williams' effect. So this creates interest in fans. You will learn that this is part of being involved in hip-hop or rap. There's all these battles going across social media. It generates interest, much like the NFL have rivalries with the Saints and the Falcons. Jeffrey is in Louisiana. Here in Atlanta, Lil Wayne has a tour bus, and he performs concert, and his tour bus was fired. There's zero evidence Jeffrey's involved. Jeffrey's not even named. Now you're going to hear about it, because Jeffrey's the king slime. He just controls everybody, even without any evidence to support it. Because that's the theory of the prosecution and the police who have targeted Jeffrey Williams. And he's in the mall and he's buying 50 to 100 sneakers. And he's going back to Cleveland Avenue where the children don't have proper footwear. He's going to give out these sneakers and allow the children to be in the video. And the mall security comes over and tells Jeffrey and his friends, and you'll see video of this, they have to leave the mall. You can't have a Segway inside the mall. But the security officers follow him. They follow Jeffrey and his friends to Jeffrey's Jaguar. And the security won't let Jeffrey leave. Won't let his friends leave. They're standing around the Jaguar. They can't shut the door to the Jaguar. They can't pull out. And they tell Jeffrey, you're waiting here. We're going to get a criminal's trespass warrant. Someone inside the car said, I'm going to go home, get a gun, and come back and shoot you in the face. That's the allegation. The security guards and supposedly step back, the car drives away. Nobody's shot. There's no incident. Jeffrey gets arrested on that. DeKalb County prosecutors dismissed that case. It was not even indicted.
I don't know if I agree with how there's cases that are dismissed in this indictment. I don't really understand how that works. A previous fucking prosecutor or judge already threw it out. Like they already said, fuck it. There wasn't sufficient evidence back then. How is there sufficient evidence now to put it in a RICO as overt acts? But whatever. I mean, it just seems dumb. It seems like any good lawyer could, you know, fight that.
Jeffrey's with Sergio Kitchens. Sergio Kitchens is an unbelievably well-known musical performer. His performing name is Gunna. And he and Jeffrey both are under YSL. That's Jeffrey's record label. They signed Sergio Kitchens for Gunna. There's a third person in that car. His name is Cedric Jones. He gets pulled over for a window tint violation. The officer gets Jeffrey out of the car and Sergio Kitchens out of the car and handcuffs Cedric Jones out of the car. Supposed methamphetamine, supposed hydrocodone, marijuana, and a stolen firearm. Jeffrey was on his way to perform at a Jimmy Fallon show. Cedric Jones said, I packed that stuff. Somehow that is now influencing and perpetuating and moving this supposed YSL conspiracy.
He's so good at his job, dude. Brian Steele's snapping, man.
May 18, 2018, Sergio Kitchens is in the front passenger seat. Supposedly Jeffrey is speeding. Supposedly there's another car that's in tandem speeding. Both cars get pulled over by police. Jeffrey and Mr. Kitchens are asked to get out of the car. They're asked if there are guns in the car. They say yes. Police get them out of the car. Any drugs in the car? No. Police have Jeffrey and Mr. Kitchens on the side of the road. They run the guns. The guns are lawful. The police put the guns in the trunk of the car. Tell Jeffrey and Mr. Kitchens, you're free to go. Give Jeffrey a speeding ticket. Jeffrey's driving away. He stops the police. Inquires about what's going to happen with the other gentleman in the other car. Police say, no. Go to jail. They have in the car weapons, 30-round magazines. It's not in Jeffrey's car. There's going to be zero evidence that Jeffrey put those guns in the car, knew those guns in the car, had anything to do with them. That's your overt act. This is overt act 183, 184, 185, 186, 187, and 188. And what you'll see here is they're just different items. On March 9th of 2020 by law enforcement. Law enforcement has tremendous military power. Law enforcement takes control of the scene, the area. Jeffrey and more than a dozen people are in the house. You will learn that Jeffrey doesn't live at the house, but other people live there all the time. They take care of the house. You don't leave a house unattended. And in the house, law enforcement finds a small amount of cocaine. I'm talking about a small amount of cocaine. They find codeine, lots of codeine, marijuana, and firearms. Other people had access to this home. Other people lived at this home. You have no evidence that Jeffrey ever touched a firearm.
This is going to be one of the harder overt acts to convince a jury, I think, because, I mean, his big point was that, you know, other people had access to this home, so it could have been, you know, his friend's shit in there. That doesn't really change much for me personally if I was on a jury, because if I had a house and my friends were in and out, I'd be like, put my foot down. I'd be like, all right, no fucking guns or drugs in here. But clearly Thug probably just didn't give a fuck, you know what I mean? And some of them probably were his.
Involving Jeffrey. And somehow that furthered this conspiracy to create territory and property and money and respect and reputation. A series of overt acts deal with videos that are released on the internet, photographs on the internet, chats. These are not released on the internet. The chats are personal. That is Jeffrey in the red sweatshirt. That is Mr. Copeland. That's Ken Copeland, Woody, in the white sweatshirt. And they're wearing different colors. And the RG is Rich Gang.
Posed for photo released on social media, red clothing, flashing YSL gang sign, overt act, and furtherance of the conspiracy. So just because they're on picture posing, they're showing they're furthering the gang. I guess because it was posted on social media out to the world, I guess. A little bit of a reach. I don't understand that one completely, but they're trying to tie them all together, you know what I mean?
It's January 3rd of 2015. That is Mr. Meekin Garlington in the red with the glasses on. That is Jeffrey. Closest to us. There's money on that table. And it says that Jeffrey posed for a... Jeffrey's not even looking at the camera. Jeffrey didn't release that on social media. He didn't post it. That is Mr. Garlington. And that's Mr. Garlington's. We ain't going back and forth. Mr. Garlington and Mr. Copeland are brothers. They consider themselves one.
I don't understand how Thug's involved in that one at all. He's just sitting in the picture. Yeah,
Next
and
one.
he didn't post it either.
It's January 26, 2015.
It's not about when people go in court and lie and say the God honest truth and overt act in furtherance of a conspiracy. Y'all inwards need to get effing killed from me and YSL. Yeah, that's just... Let's see how he defends this one.
It is 16 days after Donovan Thomas is killed. Lied to their brothers and sisters, then get right in the courtroom and tell the God's honest truth. Y'all ends need to be effing killed, bro, from me and YSL. That's exactly what Jeffrey's been thinking all the time. The criminal justice system is out of control. Mr. Garlington released that on his Instagram, not Jeffrey. Second of all, when was the video made by Jeffrey? Was it made, as the state told you, 16 days after Donovan Thomas' killing, and therefore somehow it's relevant to this murder? You will learn that that video was in existence before Donovan Thomas was ever killed. That is a repost. That is a repost by Mr. Garlington. The prosecutors, the police, are misrepresenting the evidence. What does happen on January 26, 2015, though? His name's Mr. Bennett. He goes by YFN Lucci. His mother's house is shot at. That's what happens on January 26, 2015. This is released by Mr. Garlington. Because everybody wants to associate with Jeffrey. He's the only one who got out of that area.
The video where he said all that, he didn't even post it. The other guy did. He was friends with Woody, and it was a repost.
How much will Jeffrey pay me? Hey, if I do this, will Jeffrey take me on tour? Hey, if I do this, will Jeffrey do this? Can I get Jeffrey's number? Can I come to his house? Will he buy me jewelry? They use Jeffrey.
Separating him from the group of YSL. He's doing a great job, honestly. He's snapping. He's like intense, getting his points across confidently, making Thug look as human as possible.
Jeffrey is in a car. You'll see the video. He's singing. He's singing. And he's making signs with his hands that the prosecuting police say are gang signs. I can make gang signs. This is America. I can speak favorably to the Bloods, to the Crips, to Donald Trump, to anybody. That's the overt act, and Jeffrey didn't even release it. This is on Mr. Garlington.
A lot of these posts he doesn't even post himself. That could sway a mind of a juror for sure. That they're like, oh, he didn't even post this. How are they saying he's the one that put the effort in like furthering the gang if he didn't even put it out?
That is the overt act. It's not written by Jeffrey. It's not released by Jeffrey. Music in the world. It's the number one. It is a multi-billion-dollar industry. You don't fear this. We encourage it. It generates money. It puts people to work. It's not meant for brainwashing. It's whatever the consumer chooses. It's art.
He's snapping, describing that, dude. I feel like this is going to be a hung jury. I think some of them are going to put guilty and some are going to say not guilty, and there's no one's going to budge. It's the same thing with the Melly trial. Released on Garlington's Instagram, flashing YSL gang sign.
That's the overt act that furthers, that drives this conspiracy. That's it. Jeffrey didn't even release that. And there's a social media captioned original slime SHI. And Jeffrey saying murder gang BIT and holding up his fingers. It's YSL until we're dead and hell. That's the overt act. That's driving this conspiracy. That is Mr. Bennett. He's a very, very, very prominent musical performer, rap.
This is a bad one. I remember this one. So Thug did post this one. He said, "YFN, if it ain't like what you do for your mother and kids, I would have been killed you." So he's saying that, you know, he respects what YFN Lucci does for his mom and kids, and that's why he hasn't killed him yet. Crazy statement. Like, absolutely insane.
If I ain't like what you do for your mother and kids, and capitalized, I would have been kill you. That's supposed to be this rival, this leader of the YSL, the King Slime, against IF Gang. And here we go. What they don't tell you, but what you will learn, is the day before, Jeffrey released an album called So Much Fun. And YFM Lucci criticized that album. That it's awful.
So Much Fun was a banger album. Hold on. What good songs were on that? There were so many good songs on that. Hot with Gunna, Sup Mate with Future, The Mannequin Challenge with Juice WRLD, What's the Move with Uzi, Surf, Jumped Out the Window. Like this album had bangers. Lucci's tripping.
And in 2016, years before, YFM Lucci, he's not as high as Jeffrey. He does not have as much fan base or interest. He doesn't make the money that Jeffrey does. So YFM Lucci does what all these rappers do. They attach to somebody bigger to promote themselves.
He's saying Lucci's clout chasing. Damn.
In 2016, Mr. Bennett or YFM Lucci, he released on social media that he has been having sex with Jeffrey's fiance. So King Slime, all these years, this man saying that he sleeps with Jeffrey's fiance goes unharmed, nothing done. This is the post that Jeffrey says, and it's a real threat. If I didn't like what you do, it doesn't sound too much of a threat. And Mr. Williams, now this is not social media. These are actually conversations that the prosecution subpoenaed from Google, or from Instagram, or from Twitter, or from Facebook. You get all of Jeffrey's statements. And what happened right before this, and if you look at the date, this is right before COVID hit in 2020. This producer or engineer's name is Chandler Durham. He goes by Turbo. And Turbo's car is sold. And in that car are beats that cannot be reproduced. They're the only copy. They're on in a hard drive in his car. The car's stolen.
Dude, I've never understood the concept of producers losing beats. Make a Dropbox account that has a two-factor authenticator with a physical key that you have to plug in your computer to get inside the Dropbox account, and then no, it will never be hacked ever.
That Mr. Huey's friends or acquaintances or people that Mr. Huey knew, not that Mr. Huey did it, but that he knew who did do it, who has that property. And Jeffrey writes to him, if you don't take it back, you're gonna die. Give back the property. You will learn that no one died. You will learn that the property was never given back.
Damn, he didn't follow through with the threat. It's actually kind of a good point. He's like, if he's such a big mob boss putting hits out on people and shit, put a hit out right here apparently. Y'all say he did, but no one ever died and the property was never returned.
And what the indictment did by the prosecution through the grand jury is they put this together, and this is bad. I am saying
Objection to your argument.
Thank you. This reads, YSL rule the world, kid. 24M on an N head. Y'all just start bringing me the money. Man, y'all and stop playing with me.
Oh, this is about Uzi, the 24M. So they think he put $24 million on to kill people, like put hits out on people. But he's talking about Uzi getting that diamond on his forehead.
When you read that, it sounds like there's a contract on someone's head. Kill him, start bringing me the money. Stop playing. That's threatening. What you will learn is what the prosecutor did is they took these checks from various days, this is over a 3-day period, and they cut out all of the content. And what you will learn is that on February 4th of 2021, Jeffrey wrote, YSL rule the world, kid. 24M on an N's head. What happened on February 4th, 2021, that was released on social media, this person had a supposed, maybe it's real, supposed $24 million pink diamond and had it surgically implanted into his forehead. There is a photograph next to YSL rule the world, kid.
The prosecutor shaking her head. She had no idea. I can guarantee you that.
24M on an N's head. There's a photograph. If you click on it, it is the rapper with the surgically implanted pink diamond in his forehead. The police bury this. The prosecution buries it. This is a big deal. This is a bill of indictment in Fulton County, Georgia in 2024.
Argument.
That is misrepresenting. You will learn. You will see it. It has nothing to do with putting a contract on someone's life. That's the evidence that's coming at you.
I love every second of this. This is incredible. The fact that Uzi got put into this.
Give me the money for the rent. We gotta pay the rent. I paid it last month. Everyone's supposed to put the money on the stove, in the kitchen. No, I'm doing what you said you do. We live together. And Jeffrey said, y'all start to bring me your money. I'll pay the rent. That's the overt act. That's furthering this conspiracy. That's what they did to that man. The next overt act is May 13th of 2021. This is the chat. It's again, these are the personal conversations not supposed to be seen. These are not released on social media. It's like a wiretap. This is supposed to be between these people. By the way, he's a Crip. He's in YSL. Crips are blue. But that's why it's a 100 gang. Everything moves. Y'all ain't beat him up or shot him yet. Y'all ends getting soft. Well, that sounds bad. But what you will learn is the conversation that other person tried to sleep with Trantavia Stevens' girlfriend. And the other person told Trantavia Stevens' girlfriend, Trantavia Stevens is cheating on you.
Oh.
And Trantavia Stevens and this other man are leveling each other. They're going back and forth and back and forth. And this goes on a long time. They're acting like kids. And Jeffrey wrote, y'all ain't beat him up or shot him yet. Y'all getting soft. He's talking to people that he tries to help and that he's known all his life. That is the overt act.
So he's just calling out the prosecutor for putting stuff out of context. Kind of saying that they did this intentionally, cut stuff out of context.
Who's in custody and treat them. You buy anything for him? Jeffrey walked away. That's the next overt act. The next one It's September 4th of 2020.
He's downplaying these overt acts pretty well, honestly.
Mr. Huey puts on his Instagram, it's not Jeffrey's post. Mr. Huey was in custody shortly before this. He wrote, from lockdown to a jet, slap is. Says Jeffrey poses for the photograph. Jeffrey's not even looking at the photographer. It's violent, territorial, money gathering, reputation building, fear producing.
Well, I mean, that is kind of a pose, let's be honest, boys. He didn't post it. So, I don't know, dude. This is iffy.
Right, and now this again, this is a private conversation. This is not social media. And Mr. Huey wrote, you know I'm ready to handle the business and go sit down, if I got to, about any one of y'all on my mama. What the prosecution leaves out is the next line by Mr. Huey, where Mr. Huey writes, but I don't even know if this is true or not. And Jeffrey writes, have you spoken with Gunna or Sergio Kitchen? Mr. Huey responds, yes. And what they're talking about, if you remember, right before COVID, in 2020, Jeffrey is telling Mr. Huey, get those people to return those beats. Those beats are not ever coming back. They're lost. Information. That is valuable part. They're gone.
I wonder what he's whispering.
Posted on his Instagram. This is New Year's. It's December 31, day before New Year's, 2021. And to the prosecution, the police, the district attorney's office, that is a rally cry for violence. You will learn people do this all across the globe. You will see images of NFL football players catching a touchdown, take off their helmet, going like this. Baseball players hitting a home run in the playoff game. This is nothing. A criminal activity, but it is to the district attorney's office of Fulton County.
He pointed out football players doing the nose thing. I've done that as a joke before. Like, I know some people do it as a joke, and it's not meant to be a joke, but it's just like flexing. I get the point he's trying to do, that, you know, everyone does this. It's not a gang sign, but, you know, I don't know about that one.
It's January 16, 2022, and Jeffrey releases this. It's on Jeffrey's Instagram account. And the prosecution is targeting, that's Jeffrey taking a selfie in the mirror, and he has his hand up, says he's holding up a blood sign, and that furthers this conspiracy. There's nothing wrong with holding up a blood sign, but that's not a blood sign. A blood sign is like this, it looks like a B. That is a P. And what you'll learn is that Jeffrey just released, with Sergio Kitchens, formerly known as Gunna, a song that is wildly popular. It's around the globe. It's called
Pushing P.
Pushing P. And it's positivity. It means any circumstance you're in, if you think positively about something, you can make it through. You're pushing positivity. You're pushing P. Jeffrey is showing the P. It's not a P. But that became, from the district attorney's office in Fulton County, from the city of Atlanta Police Department, a reason that furthers this supposed conspiracy. This is Mr. Kitchen's Instagram, Mr. Kitchen's release. Slap business, YSL for life. Slap is a term. It's like, it means anything. You will see images on the internet, children singing songs, sliding, 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 sliding. People say, what's up, slap? What's up, slime? That's what's being criminalized. These are lyrics that rhyme. Those are taken out of context in that song, but they're lyrics. If we're going to criminalize lyrics, you will learn. You all should watch what we say. You will learn that Bruce Springsteen sings about going out west, driving with a gun on his passenger's lap. They're going to kill everything in sight. Nobody prosecutes that.
Yeah, he's going to bring up how rap lyrics are targeted when other genres aren't targeted as much.
This slime, SHI. Hey, YSL, SHI. Hey, killing 12, that means police, SHI. Hey, flick a jail, SHI. Hey, I'm not new at this, hey. I'm so true to this, hey. I done put a whole slime on 100 licks. Slime or get slimed. I'm the VIP and I got that pistol on my hip. Has a taco. These are rhyming. There are not 100 rounds in the Tahoe of Mr. Donovan Thomas. You'll have no evidence when that lyric was even created. The prosecution doesn't care.
Wait, so he's saying he said Tahoe just to rhyme it with taco. But it's just very similar. I know there's no evidence that, you know, when that lyric was created and everything, like you just said, and Thug isn't physically connected to that, but it's just really similar. That's a hard one to fight.
It's like 24 M's on M's head. Everything is viewed wrong. This says slime SHI, this says mob SHI, F the judge, YSL, this is mob life. That's the overhead. It rhymes. You will hear that other artists use the same type of lyrics. Before Jeffrey, after Jeffrey, these are typical. I shot his mommy, so now he no longer mentioned me. I had, and those are shoes, when I shot the sea, act like you want war, they're gonna smoke you like a blunt. I shot at his mommy, now no longer mentions me. The police are gonna tell you, the prosecutor is gonna tell you, huh? Mr. Bennett, wife of Lucci, her mother was shot and died by shooting. That was done by Mr. Cope. It's also January 15, 2019. That shooting happened on January 26, 2015. There's no connection. Why?
Because it was 4 years later.
Just lyrics. These are art.
I done did the jacking, now I'm full rapping. I put on my brothers, I put on my bitch.
I up my stamina, take it to trial, get an appeal, take it to trial, yeah. You're gonna whack him, pay for the casket.
What is he thinking right now while he's reading these lyrics, bro? He's like, fuck, man. Why did I say all this dumb shit?
My young ends pulling up Bentleys, Aston Martins. Your 5 gang experts in this case from the District Attorney's Office of Fulton County all work together in the City of Atlanta Police Department. Those are your 5 gang experts. They teach each other, they talk to each other, they decide what the rules are.
Making the gang experts look like they, you know, aren't that well educated, which I've always felt a little bit weird about gang experts, but I understand it in this case because it's a RICO charge.
5 people designated as experts They all are biased. They all targeted Jeffrey. They all work together. They have an agenda. Some of these words are not really the lyrics, but you can decide for yourself. You'll hear the songs. It's now become criminalized. The words in America are criminalized. Enjoy.
So he's saying these words are just art. It's comparable to a book or a movie. The state of Georgia is criminalizing words.
Possession of codeine with intent to distribute. Possession of cocaine is a very small amount. Possession of firearms.
It's a very small amount of coke, just a tad. You gotta admit, it's kind of funny that he keeps pointing out it's a very small amount.
That was in furtherance of a gang. Being in a house where other people have access to it with these drugs now furthered the gang. That's the allegation. That's it. Next count.
So he's like kind of going through some of these with like a sarcastic tone, saying, "That's it, just that."
Possess cocaine. It's the same thing as the rest. It's a small amount of cocaine. I'm not pro cocaine. This is a small amount of cocaine. Now he's charged with it. Of all the people in the house, they just picked these.
Yeah, he keeps pointing out a lot of people are in the house. I get it, but it's his fucking house. He would put his foot down and say, "Don't bring that shit in here." But he's not gonna do that because he doesn't care. But
For all these other people at the house, these other people were living at the house all the time. Jeffrey would go from place to place. Jeffrey just got back into our country. He was in Ireland. He was watching Sergio Kitchen perform. You will hear zero evidence that Jeffrey ever touched a gun with a converter. You will hear zero evidence. This is the knowledge. You have to know. You don't trick people. You have to know that the gun is transferred into an illegal machine gun. You'll hear zero evidence that Jeffrey had anything to do with that gun. The purchase of it, the possession of it, even knew it was in the house. And you will learn that these people who are so embedded with Jeffrey's the king slime, the leader of this organization. You know how many conversations in any way they have with Jeffrey? Zero. He is not on a wiretap. But others speak about Jeff. Hey, we did this for King Slime. He should pay for our lawyers. Jeff doesn't pay for anybody's lawyer. Hey, how much will King Slime, the biggest, pay us to kill YSL Lucci, Mr. Bennett, who's in the Fulton County Jail and we have access to him? How much will he pay? Jeffrey pays nothing. He's not even on it. But everyone talks about it. Oh, yeah. He's going to pay big. That's a big one. He really wants it done. Those people don't even know Jeff. He knows where he came from. He came from nothing. Now he stands before you. We trust you. Jeffrey's not guilty.
And that's his opening statement. All right, Lil Rod's lawyer right here. I believe he's 19 now. He was 15 when he murdered, or was part of a murder at least. And he got life in prison for it, I believe. And this is his lawyer who said she's a public defender. At one point said she wasn't getting paid enough and wanted to make an OnlyFans. So this lady.
Poor, young, convenient. That's all it takes to become the target of the state. I'm gonna break that down for you. Poor. Rodriguez was born on a couch. Let that sink in. He was born on a couch. From day one that he was brought into this world, he has been fighting to survive. And in this case, they're trying to get a teenager for RICO. Growing up on Cleveland Avenue is a very dangerous, destitute place. Rodriguez learned early that he needed to adapt. And he did what most teenagers and preteens do. I remember when I was younger, growing up on social media, I used to hold up a C symbol all the time because I used to love this group called Coloring. It was my favorite group. Fortunately for me, I didn't grow up poor, so the state didn't care what I was doing. If I had grown up on Cleveland Avenue with all these rain emojis and C, I would have been accused of being a crook. Rodriguez is here because when he was 15 years old, the state told this incredible tale of murder, and when you're young, and you don't have the means, it's hard to refute those claims. And if you look at Rodriguez, you can see he's maybe 100 pounds soaking wet. So he posts things. He posts things on Instagram. And I wouldn't even call it an Instagram post, I would call it a survival post. He has to boast, he has to be boastful. He has to show people, this is what I have. So you put poor, young, and convenient together, and what do you have? You have the perfect scapegoat for the state. This indictment has 28 co-defendants. And the prosecutors keep saying, we're trying to clean up the streets of Atlanta. We're cleaning up Fulton County. We're trying to drive crime down. You just heard me say Rodriguez is in prison. The jurors got it wrong in that murder case and they convicted him. He's going to be there for life. They're not cleaning up the streets of Atlanta. They're cleaning up the prisons. And I promise you, the people in the prison, the wardens, they know how to handle their inmates. They don't need the DA's help. They have it. Because the state was to put on a show. Rodriguez is in less than 1% of this whole indictment. This reminds me of this anime named Bleach, where it's 16 seasons. Every episode is about 18, 20 episodes. Sorry, every season is 18 to 20 episodes. And they
She's bringing up an anime right now? What's going on?
have season 4 and 5. They have these bouts. They're the villains of the whole thing in season 4 and season 5. The main characters are trying to get them out of soul society. You don't hear about the bounce. You go to season 7, you don't hear about the bounce. Why don't you hear about these important characters? Because they're filler characters. It's a filler season. Me and Rodriguez, we're fillers. We're not integral to the story. They just drag them out of prison to jail to make this bigger than it has to be. We're basically distractions. So as a juror, what can you do to tell the state, we're not going to be distracted? We don't need to listen to filler. You come back at the end of this with a not guilty for Rodriguez Ryan. You tell them we do not want to waste our time on fillers. We just want to get the substance. So I guess, sit back, enjoy the show, get some popcorn, because this is not justice, this is a circus.
Okay, kind of cringe, and seemed like she memorized it all. It was only like 4 minutes or 5 minutes or something, but there actually is some evidence that Lil Rod isn't part of YSL that much. Like he was just a child that hung out with a few people. and YSL. I mean, he shot a gun at someone and the person died, but it wasn't his bullet that did it. Apparently, like it was someone else. Like it was another co-defendant. I forgot which one. He tried to kill someone and he shot a gun at them. So I mean, he's fucked. He's already in prison for the rest of his life. But who knows, man? That was kind of bad. I don't know. This is Yak Gotti's lawyer right here, boy.
Let me say a third time, just so you're clear. He is not guilty of every single charge against him, as our great Constitution demands.
The eyebrows are crazy here. What's going on with the eyebrows?
And we won't have to prove anything to you, as the judge told you. And the evidence in this case against my client is so very weak. The state's not going to be able to come anywhere near the standard required. Despite having paid his debt to society, the state is going to use his prior conviction to try to bootstrap these old crimes that he's already paid his debt for to get you, to convince you that he's guilty of these new offenses. They're going to try and get a second bite at the apple, despite the fact that he served his time, that he pled guilty. Like a bad magic trick. You're a bad magician who's like, look over here while they're picking your pocket. That's the evidence the state wants you to pay attention to. Lots of murder cases, gang cases, RICO cases take 1, 2, maybe 3 weeks to try at most. Why is this case going to take months? I'll tell you why. Because the evidence will show the government has got to drag in hundreds of witnesses to dance around the weak actual case that they have. They've got to bring in 5 experts to tell you what a gang is, and hope that after hundreds and hundreds of witnesses, you're either so confused or so worn down that you'll believe the state's theory.
Making it a fight between the people and the judicial system, and like saying they're trying to waste your time. They're trying to just confuse you.
Mr. Kendrick's DNA was present at the scene of the crime. Why not bring in 1 witness out of the hundreds that you're going to hear from that will just say, I saw Mr. Kendrick do it? Why not? Because it doesn't exist. And our Constitution and our civil laws and our democracy demand more. They demand that high standard.
Brogan intense. He's trying to get his point across. So this is Huey right here, and his lawyer's about to come up. I believe his name is Mr. Matthews.
With a theft by receiving of a handgun, they reduced it down to a little misdemeanor, disorderly conduct. And now they say, hey, let's tell the ladies and gentlemen of this RICO trial, this is an overt act in a RICO conspiracy in a YSL case. That's what they have brought to you.
Charges changed or reduced? Like, why are they saying it's an overt act when it's already been reduced or dismissed? Huey was accused of doing some armed robbery, so here we go.
These items that we're talking about here, the Gucci, the Louis Vuitton, the debit cards, none of those items have ever been found on Mr. Huey's person, on Mr. Huey's in car, in any residence. That's the state's case for those grouping of charges, ladies and gentlemen. No other witnesses out there at that location that are going to tell you that they ever saw Mr. Huey at that location. That's what you're going to learn about that grouping of cases. No photographic lineup. This is interesting. Listen to me very closely. You will not hear any evidence of a cell phone tower locating Mr. Huey at 741 Roscoe Drive, Northeast Atlanta, Georgia. You will not. In the technology-driven world that we live in, cell phone evidence is powerful in terms of being able to put people at locations. Ask me, did Detective Henderson make any efforts to do that? You will learn the answer is no.
All right, that's pretty much it for today. A bunch of opening statements from 3 of the lawyers, or 4, I mean. I forgot that lady did like 5 minutes, but Thug's lawyer did pretty well. I mean, pretty much made Thug look like he was not part of this whatsoever. Kind of just had other people posting shit. He did good, in my opinion. Some people are saying he did bad, but from a juror's perspective, I think Mr. Steele did the best. Comment down below what you guys think. If you're new to my channel, subscribe from Twitter and Instagram. Fucking love you guys. Peace out.